Alright, so chapter 3 is a chapter that a lot of people don't like. So hopefully with this video you guys will get to know the screens a little better, and then you'll like them a little more. These first few screens are just a measure of how well you can control your hypers. Short hypers are when you press A or jump for only one frame, and then long hypers are when you hold jump. So to clear this first gap, you can't do a short hyper, he'll fall right in the hole. So you have to do a long hyper. But the longer you're airborne, the more momentum you lose. So you generally want to stay as close to the ground and just repeatedly spam hypers through these screens. So it's long, short, 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 long, short, short, like that. And then in this screen, if you actually do 3 straight hypers, like just as quick as you can, you should beat the dust bunnies to the spring every time. So this screen is so it doesn't matter how you enter the screen. If you enter the screen mid hyper, it's just 1, 2, 3. If you enter the screen walking, just 1, 2, 3, like, and the last one was long because I was further from it. But as long as you do 3 hyper, you should be able to reach that spring without an issue. The second half of this screen is the exit transition. So I like to hyper to get to this exit, but you can just do an extended dash jump. Again, extended means you maintain your dash. That even though I'm dashing, you see her hair is still red. So that's like the safest way to do it, is to extend the dash jump and then dash up forward. Because you want to be able to dash when you get to this screen so that you can pick up the key. I like to wave dash there and then dash up to get up here. This next screen has 2 strats. The first one I'm going to do is the faster one, I believe. And the first one requires you to hyper into the screen from the spot where you trigger the cutscene, so that you've lost most of your momentum. And I'm gonna say the motions first, and then I'm gonna do it, because if I try to talk while I'm doing it, I'll get confused. So it's jump and then dash to get over the first dust bunny, and then a dash jump, which is like this, to get some momentum going to the second platform, which will allow me to bunny hop on the second platform over the second dust bunny, and then a wave dash that also retains my dash to get to the end of the level. And it looks like this. Oops, I wasn't supposed to dash up forward, sorry. That's the other strat, I got a little confused. Wait, what? Am I not? Am I bugging? I am supposed to dash up forward. I'm just dumb, I'm sorry. And then a hyper at the end of the screen like that. So again, it's jump and then dash up forward, then a dash jump, then a wave dash that preserves your dash, and then a hyper. Oh, don't forget the bunny hop after the dash jump. That's actually one of the most important parts of it. If you don't bunny hop, you can't get over that guy. I was seeing if I could do it without momentum, but I can't. Yeah, if I was moving forward, it's because I tried to go over him. Like that. Okay. That's a very important piece of it. Then the other strat is if you hyper twice into the room, immediately run into the wall to stop your momentum, and then you're gonna dash up forward and then forward like this. Then from here you can hyper to the top platform, and then from here you would just jump and dash. And again, the ending is always the same, it's always a hyper off that platform. So I believe that is slower than the first thing I explained, but if you find that easier, you know, by all means, you can do that too. Yeah, this next screen, usually you come in with a hyper momentum, so you can just jump and dash up to get to the top of the blankets or towels, like this. And then from here, you should be able to just fall and dash straight to the jewel. You can wall bounce if you dash up from the jewel early enough, otherwise just wall kick all the way to the top. This next screen, when you transition into the screen, you can do an extended wave dash to get to the left as fast as possible and then dash up. And then when you climb up here, as long as that guy just left, if you do this as fast as possible, the circling dust bunny on the right will never hit you. So you climb up here and then you immediately hyper and hold jump. And I should have made that, but like that. So you just got to take that little extra step or land a little bit more further into the platform. If you die or you don't want to do the extended hyper, you can just walk and dash up, and the same thing applies. So you come into the screen, you walk, dash up, and then hyper. Then you fall. If you dash up forward, there's only one pixel where you won't pick up the key. 19 out of 20 times you'll pick up the key just dashing up forward past it. I've never not picked up the key, but apparently that's possible. So that descent right there, I think it's faster to dash over the dust bunny the way I just did. Here, I'll do it again. So you wait, touch both these platforms to give them time to get down, and then dash across the top. And the reason I think this is faster is because the key will go to the lock from where I am right now. The strat other people do is that they do this. They just try to fall as fast as possible and then dash twice. Like that. But I think it's better to get the key in the door as fast as possible because you have to wait for the key to open the door anyway. So I think this is a little better. And then after the door is open, you want to hyper into the next screen. After you pass these spikes here, you can dash up forward to grab that wall. And then from here, you can do an extended hyper dash to get all the way to the end of the level. If you're not confident in your spacing, you can dash up forward at the end. But if you jump off the tip of this platform, you could just dash straight. Like that. But you can also dash forward like this. And then hyper into Oshiro, skip the cutscene. From Oshiro, you're going to want to hyper dash into the transition, and then bunny hop and dash straight up to go over the wall. After jumping over the wall and landing on this platform, you can go for the wall bounce on this next corner. It's pretty easy because you can just walk off of this platform and it lines you up. But if you're worried about it, you can just dash up and grab the wall. I like to land here so that I can jump up and wave dash off of that corner into the next screen. But if you don't want to wave dash, you could just climb up here and just land here. But I like to do this. When you wave dash or hyper into the screen, you can go under that block with a dash, and you should be able to do it regardless. But after you get over here, you can dash forward. If you dash forward and grab the wall like I just did, you have to delay your jump press. You have to delay your jump press, otherwise you'll get wall fucked. The wall fucks are getting patched out on the Steam version, so luckily you'll be able to go as fast as possible in the future. But for right now, you have to make sure to delay your jump just a tiny bit. If you dash up forward, which is also a possibility, you have to be careful to not hit that corner. Because if you hit that corner the way I just did, you saw how I like propelled me up and over the ledge. If you do that, you have to make sure that you land on the ledge so that you get your jump back. Otherwise, you can fly like straight over the platform and then just die because you have no dashes. So I like to dash forward just to be safe. Yo, Francine with the host. Thank you, friend. Let me explain the rest of the room. I like to dash forward just to be safe and then just land on the top. And then from here, oops, I meant to pause it. From here, I dash up forward to the last railing and I just jump over the dust bunny. I don't do wall kicks like back and forth. I just go straight over him like that and then wall kick here. To exit this screen, I like to just dash from the tip of this wooden block. If you just dash up forward, it takes you into the next screen and it lines you up for a wall bounce on the next screen. So I just land here and then immediately dash up forward. And then on this next screen, I just dash up right away and wall bounce off of this wall. So for this next screen, I think there's a couple of ways to do it, but I'm not too confident in the other way, so I'm only going to explain one of them. And I also think my way is the easiest and one of, if not the fastest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk into the screen, And I'm gonna jump and dash up forward as fast as I can to make sure the dust bunny doesn't hit me. If you delay the jump at all, you'll run into the dust bunny with the dash. So you gotta do it as fast as you can. And then after you land on the platform, you just have to wait like a split microsecond. If you go too fast, you'll actually wave dash into the dust bunnies. But if you wait just like a half a breath, you'll be able to wave dash all the way to the end of the room. And then dash up, like that. And I'll do it again, just to show. So again, walk in, jump dash, wave dash. See, I didn't even stop my movement there. I was holding forward the whole time, but I did like not like try to like rush the room as fast as possible. See, that's what happens if you jump late. On this next screen, you want to get to that wall with your dash. So what you want to do, you want to do an extended wave dash off the transition itself. But if you're still having trouble with that, you can land and do an extended hyper dash and then get to the wall. After you grab the wall, you can just jump and dash over both of these spikes. From here, you want to do another extended hyper dash to get to the end. And then from here, it's just fast movement. Whenever I say fast movement, I just mean like hypering and dashing in optimal places to ensure that your character is just moving as fast as she can move. There's nothing like tricky to that screen there. You just have to make sure, oh, I didn't mean to touch that spring. I wanted to back up. You just want to make sure that you're moving through the screen and that you're not running into corners and walls and losing your momentum. For this screen, it might not be faster to use the spring, but it sure as hell is easier. So you just get up here, bounce up here. From that center one, you want to dash up here. And it's actually faster to dash down forward to this last coin, and because it triggers the door sooner. But if you're scared of going into the spikes, you could just dash straight. When you're on one of these moving platforms, you can hold down to make them descend faster. This is one of the first instances of Madeline's hitbox overlapping with the enemies, and players not realizing they can go faster than it actually looks like they can. So when you're like here, oops, that's like way too far. Once you're like here, you can dash through this. Even though Madeline looks taller than where the dust bunnies are, because you're going to be doing a hyper dash, Madeline is going to be crouching, and her crouch hitbox is tiny. So in these situations, you want to just like push the limits as much as you possibly can. So right here, you want to do an extended hyper dash, go all the way to the end, and then dash up and through the dust bunnies. Now I'm actually just going to retry the room so you can see how it looks like at full speed. Like you saw how close I was to the kill zone there, but because I'm crouching, like she doesn't get hit. And once you land here, you want to hyper dash into the next screen. So after you hyper dash into the screen, you should automatically pick up the key. So you don't want to stop your momentum to get the key. You want to just hyper dash like right past the key. If you're good enough, you can maintain the momentum after climbing this wall and just dash straight into the end of it, like that. But let's see if I can get it again. So it looks something like this. Oh, I didn't. You want to hold jump here so that you like fly all the way to the end like that. And that's that room in like its fastest form. So this room, you want to make sure you don't touch this platform above the door coming down. If you touch that platform, it'll delay when the key goes into the door, and then it'll mess up the cycles for the dust bunnies. And so when this key goes into the door, as soon as the key turns sideways like that, you can start going through the door. Like right here, if I dash, I'll go through the door. So generally, as soon as the door starts open, like the key goes horizontal and the door starts opening, you want to do a dash jump or an extended dash jump to dash to that first crystal. And I only died because I was going slowly to demonstrate. But if you do an extended dash jump, the benefit is you can wave dash from this position right here, but it's like barely a few frames time save. So don't stress it if you want to just do a regular dash jump. Again, that's just fast movement there. And this whole section is just fast movement. So this is something you're gonna have to experiment with and figure out what's comfortable for you, which wall bounces are, which wave dashes are. Like, not every wave dash or wall bounce that I do is gonna be comfortable for you. I actually don't even do that many, but I know TGH does way more than I do. So right here, this is the first section you should go for is the box section. The box section has some of the funnest screens in Chapter 3 for me. I feel like all 4 of the screens have really interesting strats. The first screen here is a lock screen where you have to go all the way to the right and grab the coin and then come all the way back across. So I can't show both the strats because the door actually closes behind you when you go into the screen, so I won't be able to retrace my steps without opening up debug mode. But there's a slightly faster variation that if you want you can watch TGH's PB, and he does it in that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the room with a wave dash so that I'm airborne, and I'm going to hold jump, and it's going to take me almost all the way to the end of the room, and then I'm going to up dash up to the key, to the coin, and then I'm going to land on the tip of the platform, and I'm going to double my way back to the entrance. Oops, I already messed up. So well, actually what I can do, then I have to do a Shiro again. Anyway, it looks something like this, and then I land there and I dash back. That's what it looks like, but if I had done it with the wave dash through the transition, so it's like this, and then I come all the way over here. And just one last time to make it easier to show. And this next screen is another cycle screen. You can hyper past the first dust bunny. I can actually do this one while I'm talking. You can hyper past this one and then dash here. And then when these guys come down, you can jump on the left wall and jump over them. And then they'll be out of your, the other guys will be out of your way. This screen has, actually I think I can get to the entrance of this screen even after I kill myself. So I'll show you the easy way first. It's just fall. Oops. I want to do it off the transition. It's just fall, dash up over that guy, and then like just a bunch of like slow dashes like that is like how you would get through it. After you get the first crest, I'm pretty sure you could just dash forward twice. Yeah. If you come through this transition on the right side, where I am right now, and get really close to the pit that you have to go through, you can actually fast fall all the way to the platform and wave dash to the end. And that's like the strat more experienced players go for. Looks something like this. Oops, I got corner fucked. Are you gonna grief me now, game? I'm gonna keep getting corner fucked. It's funny because I never mess this up in runs, but okay. It's because I'm trying to show it off. What's happening? There we go. This is a really precise strat, so I don't recommend going for it until you are more accustomed to Madeline's movement. But something good about this room actually is that the way this strat works is when you jump dash over this block, it lines up this spike jump perfectly. So that's what's really good about this. And I went through the door now, so I can't show the strat anymore. But yeah, until you get really comfortable with Madeline's movement, you should do the slower strat, but it's a really consistent strat once you learn it, and it sets you up for the spike jump pretty easily. So this room, this is a spike jump. I don't know why it's called a spike jump. It's not really a spike jump, it's a wall jump. I feel like that term confuses a lot of newer people, and you should not be thinking of it as a spike jump. You're not jumping off the spikes, you're jumping off of this corner of the wall right here. The reason you're able to do that is because when you're moving away from the spikes, they don't actually have a hurt box. So you can always jump through the spikes as long as you're moving away from them, like that. But if I let go forward while I'm doing that, oops, I die, see? If I let go forward. So as long as you're holding forward, you can always get it. So you should aim to jump off of the corner. That's what you should be aiming for. And then you just go like that and jump again, and then you dash up. And it's pretty simple. I feel like a lot of people get confused because they don't realize that they're jumping off the wall because people call it a spike jump, and they get confused because they don't realize that they're supposed to keep holding left. But it's really easy, it's really consistent. Shout outs to TGH for telling me to ignore the spikes. Act like the spikes are not there, because that's literally how you do every spike jump in the game. I know I said that in the chapter 1 video as well, and so it's the same thing here. And then for this next section, I like to dash up into the transition and then dash up and wall bounce, and it lets me like just wall kick a bunch through this section right here. If you try to wall bounce from the transition, you'll bonk your head on this, so it's better to just land or just dash a second time, like dash up and then dash again and come up here. And I like to transition into this next screen on the right hand side here, because when I do a wall bounce on the next screen, it automatically puts me on the floor. If I do it on the left side, I have to like maneuver back, as opposed to just being automatically put there. And then when you get put here, you just do a hyper dash and dash down, and you'll break the blocks. And then again, this is just like movement that you have to get used to. I'm not gonna explain every single dash in like big movement sections. Like, you just have to watch a VOD of a player that you like and copy their movement. Okay, so books are like the simplest section of Huge Mess. There's literally no difficulty to this. You can wave dash or hyper dash off of this ledge that I'm standing on right now, and it'll take you to the end. And then from here, you just want to dash up forward to the other side. And then what I like to do up here is I like to do an extended hyper dash into a regular hyper dash, because the extended makes sure like if I just do a regular hyper dash, I dash into this. But if I do an extended hyper dash, I jump later into the dash, so I go over it. So like I come up here, I land, whoops, and I do extended hyper into regular hyper into the next screen. Oops, I don't want to do that. I'm actually just gonna retry. So the first thing you need to remember is to not hold jump coming into the screen. If you hold jump on any hyperdash transition, you'll change your trajectory. So you want to make sure you're not holding jump, so Madeline falls the way she's falling right now. And then if you notice, all these dust bunnies are like opening up out of the way on the first cycle. So it's very easy to just like fall into the middle of them and then dash up to the towels. Then once you land on the towels, you can see the 3 on the right have completely closed, so you can just hyperdash past them and get to the end, and that's how you do this screen. So if you come in with a hyperdash, it's much easier than if you do the room normally. This transition you can reach it with just a dash, but if you can't reach it with a jump, so don't bother jumping. Like just walk into the screen and dash up. And then here you want to dash up here. And the trick to the screen is to just not die to this guy right above me, right here. That's the trick to this screen. As long as you don't die to this guy, you should be fine. What I do is I just dash right here, and then I immediately wall kick to the other side to avoid him. And then I come down here. Now once you're down here, you can dash up and start doing wall kicks, or you could do a wall bounce, which is a lot faster. Once I get up here, I like to do 3 hyper dashes to exit the screen. You want to go into the next screen with hyperdash momentum, so it's important to like not get stuck on your way out. So like I don't even like hold forward. I don't move my character. I just dash and then dash and then dash. And I held jump going into that transition. That's why I died, because I was just like not really paying attention. But it's like this, and then you want to bunny hop on the tip of that bridge so that you make it all the way to this wall without wasting your dash. If you make it all the way to this wall without wasting your dash, you can skip the right half of the room and just dash up forward to this corner and then jump to this crystal. You don't even have to grab the walls at all. I'm just grabbing the wall so that I can keep pausing the game and showing you where I am. But you can, after you wall kick twice to grab the crystal, you can immediately wall kick again and jump over the dust bunnies. And so the room looks like this. That's how the room looks. And then obviously, again, fast movement to the end. And Oshiro is going to be right next to you when you exit here, so it's very convenient. From here, I just hyperdash to the laundry section, which is right here. And I actually hyperdash into the screen, but if you hyperdash into the screen, you'll go straight into the spikes, so you need to stop your momentum with an up forward dash. So make sure you don't die, and then hyperdash into the Theo cutscene. This next screen trips up a lot of people. What you want to do is you want to hyperdash, jump into the screen, right? And then you want to hold jump so that Madeline is floating into the next screen. and then you want to dash forward in the middle of the screen, like as late as you can imagine. It's a lot later than you're going to expect it to be. A lot of people get tripped up because they do it way too fast. You just want to dash over the dust bunny, that's all you want. And then once you do that, you can hyper dash to the other side. And it looks like this. Oops, I didn't get the hyper dash. Can you jump, my friend? I like to land on the tip from the, like when I come out of the Theo cutscene, I just land on this tip just to make sure I don't get messed up. So that was really fast. I'm gonna do it again. Come up here, land here, hyper dash. And then you see I'm not dashing. I haven't dashed yet. I'm just like letting the momentum carry me into the middle of the screen. And then I'm dashing over the dust bunny like that. And then if you do it as fast as possible, you can just hyper dash again to get to the end. This screen is it's a little tricky to get through on the first cycle. I like to use a wave dash to get all the way to the end because I can start the wave dash while the bunny is moving out of the way, as opposed to landing where he is and then trying to hyper dash. So like that. And then you want to make sure you're holding left after you reach the last pillar so that you don't fly into the death at the end. I don't even know what to call that. This is a wall of death is what it is. Usually I get my dash back either from landing on the last pillar or because I did an extended wave dash. And if I do that, then I dash to where I am right now. And then from here you could just dash to the end. This guy you just have to fall under him. You could dash jump up here. And then there's two strats you could do here. I think the easier strat is to just wait for this guy to get out of the way. If you just wait for him to get out of the way, you can dash straight up and then climb up here and then dash to the exit like that. The other strat is to just straight up jump over him and bounce in the water and then climb up. That's the other strat. But remember, you gotta be precise if you're doing that because there's a lot of death in that water. Okay, this next screen is, you have to wait for a cycle anyway, so there's no real point in like rushing this screen. So just copy the movement that you see me doing here. It's just making sure you don't die to that first cycle buddy because he moves really fast, so you have to jump on his little platform like while he's rising, and then the rest of it is pretty straightforward. Again, this is just general like Celeste movement. There's no strategy to what I'm doing. You can literally copy it like dash for dash how you see it if you're comfortable with the character. Okay, so the elevator section of chapter 3 is probably the hardest section to do. I know it gave me a lot of trouble when I first started speedrunning this chapter. But what you want to do first and foremost is you want to enter the screen on the right here. And the reason you want to enter on the screen on the right is because there's an elevated platform that you want to dash to. And if you're too far left, you won't make it onto the platform. So you want to enter the screen on the right, and that'll allow you to catch the first cycle of the dust bunnies. And this is essentially a forced wall bounce. Because if you don't get that wall bounce like that, then it's really hard to see. This is the door. So if I would have entered here, I wouldn't have reached the platform. So you enter here, you dash this way, then you land here. And then you wall bounce, and then you alternate between wall kicking and climbing with the grab button to make sure you make it to the top. Yo, what's up, Dale? What is this up here? I don't even know. Anyway, after you get up here, you hyper into the next screen. This screen, there's a really fast strat that I don't do. And I'm not going to explain because I'm not sure exactly how it works. It involves vertical dashes. But the easiest strat to do is to dash up forward twice and then jump off the wall to get the coin, which essentially preserves your dash. So these guys right here on the pillars themselves, these idiots, their hitbox is a lot smaller than they actually appear to be. So what you want to do is you want to just dash over them like that. Like you saw how I grazed him. Oh, I'm not gonna graze this one, but you can essentially get really close to them and just hug the wall to get through them. So it's pretty simple to fall, grab the coin, and then dash up forward twice. And it looks like this. And that's how that room looks. So it's just up forward, jump off the wall, up forward, jump off the wall, up forward. It's a really simple pattern, just gotta remember it. This next room is all about how comfortable you are with Madeline's movement. Like you can do hypers, you can do dashes, you can do dash jumps, you can do whatever you want in this room. There's no strategy to it. is just get to the end of the room. I'm going to show you how I do the room, and then if you like it, you can copy it. I hyper here, dash up, dash over, dash left, and the reason I dash here instead of hypering is so that I have a chance at this wall bounce right here. And then after I wall bounce there, I dash jump to over here, wave dash off the floor here, and wall bounce at the end there. That little ending sequence is really complicated. If you're new to the game, you don't have to do that yet. You could just casually walk through all of it. It's not a difficult screen by any means. It's just very fun when you're moving really fast. This next screen, the best strat for this next screen is to do 2 wall bounces. I didn't want to go into the screen, and of course the door is going to close. The best strat is to do 2 wall bounces, and it works on the death cycle. It works when you enter the screen. You just have to fall and then jump up here. And the trick to making sure you grab this jewel is to always grab the wall under the jewel before you go over. If you just try to like fly over the thing with the wall bounce, sometimes you'll miss the jewel. So I like to just grab here and then jump, and then grab here and then jump. And then you can do it right here one last time. If you die in this screen, the death cycle is, it looks really tight, but you can grab the wall before the guy bothers you. This guy right here. So you can grab the wall. You don't have to stop. You can keep going at full speed. It's not a big deal if you die. It's a good screen to practice wall bounces on too. And then after this cutscene, you're gonna want to dash right and down to get here. This screen is pretty straightforward. It's just dash to the left to grab the wall, and then climb and fall around the cycle without dying to it. From this position right here where I land, you're gonna want to hyper into the next screen, and this next screen is excellent practice for controlling your hypers. This next screen, the best way to do it is to just hyper 4 times. If you're not comfortable hypering 4 times, I recommend you practice it a lot. It's very important to be able to control Madeline's hypers throughout the speedrun. This screen made me way more comfortable with my movement in general in the game. I'm probably going to mess it up now because I'm talking about it, but that's fine. The way I used to do the screen, and I'll show you right here, the way I used to do the screen was I would hyper in, and then I would dash up to the platform, and then I would... See, that's what happens if you hold jump, by the way. You never want to hold jump on these hyper, you just want to hyper. So I would hyper into the screen and then dash up to get set, and then hyper, hyper, hyper 4 times. Like that. The way I do the screen now, thanks to TGH pointing it out to me, is you can actually just bunny hop straight to the platform, and that allows you to beat this cycle right here. So you don't if you dash to the platform, you actually have to stop for that last death bunny, or go a lot slower than usual so that he's not in your way. But yeah, I think that's, if you want to learn a hard strat, like just from the start, you want to learn from this stool right here, this piano, hyper, jump, and then hyper, 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 like that. And that's how you get to this key. After you pick up this key, you can just retry. Keys persist through retries, so it takes you straight to the beginning with the key. You don't have to walk around the room. That's just fast movement. This screen I like to enter with a wave dash, just so that I have a little bit more momentum going into the screen. And then I dash up. These assholes right here, there's actually a not much faster, but a slightly faster strat where you can skip the cycle. If you want to see it like being done live, you can watch the tasks. It's really hard to do. But basically it's when they close, you jump close to them and then you go like that. But I don't recommend going for that in a run. It's really tight. It's better to just wait for them to open and just fall behind them. If you go through the room as fast as possible, you could jump over this guy when he comes down. Like you could beat his cycle. But if you're going kind of slow, I'd wait for him to get out of the way. And then this end screen is pretty straightforward. I hyper into this screen and skip the cutscene right away, so that I can bunny hop to the end and then get a wall bounce that goes up to the top. This screen, if you skip the cutscene before Madeline gets over the floor, she actually starts on the ground. If you wait for her to be airborne like this and then skip the cutscene, you have to wait for her to come back down. So try to skip this cutscene as fast as possible. And then this is dash. These screens are gonna be hard to explain because I don't want to explain the death cycle to you, but it's going to be hard for me to do the screen more than once without explaining the death cycle. So these first 3 jumps are just dash jumps. It's like, so you dash and then jump, dash and then jump, dash and then jump. And then at the end right here, after the first 3, you're going to jump and then dash to here. and then make sure this dust bunny is not going to kill you. And once he's out of your way, you hyper and hold jump to get here. I hyper straight into this next room to reach the elevated platform right away, like this. But if you forget to hyper, you can just climb up the wall. Oshiro's a pretty nice guy, so he gives you some time to set up in this room, in every room, before he starts attacking you. When you get up here, you want to do an extended hyper dash to get all the way to the end. If you're not confident doing an extended hyper dash on this big of a platform, the platform it's a little bit bigger than the minimum that you need for an extended hyper, but if you're still not comfortable, you can actually just jump and then do a wave dash, which is how I used to do this room originally, to preserve your dash, like that, and then dash to the end. This next screen, it's important to be comfortable with Madeline's fast movement, specifically her bunny hops and her wave dashes, to get through this next screen as fast as possible. If you just hyper into the screen, you can bunny hop to the first platform, and then wave dash off of it, and then same thing for the second platform. And it pretty much trivializes the screen on your initial entrance, which looks like this. After wave dashing into this screen, I like to bunny hop to the spring. You can also dash to it. Your objective here should just be to delay your movement just enough so that Oshiro attacks you while you're up in the air. You're not going to have a problem with that if you're still learning, but as you get faster at the game, you might like try to incorporate like more like hyper dashes or wave dashes or whatever. And if you do that on this screen, Oshiro will actually, if you move as fast as possible on this screen, Oshiro will be level with you on the floor on his first attack. So you don't want to go as fast as possible on this screen. You actually want to delay yourself just a little bit. So I do a bunny hop here, and then I dash up forward to the coin to delay myself as opposed to dashing straight to the coin. And it looks like this. And you see right there that Oshiro is much higher than I am. If I had dashed straight, he probably would have came all the way down to me and killed me. And then from here, I do one hyper dash, and then I do a jump dash to get over the dust bunnies. Oops, sorry. I didn't do that. This coin, you want to dash up as soon as possible to grab it. Like you can dash anytime after you bounce on the spring. So you basically don't want to wait till the spring launches you all the way up, because then you're gonna like dash past the coin and you're gonna waste time. So you want to just dash up as soon as you can to grab the coin. And then these next bunnies right here are more evidence of like Madeline's hitbox just not existing when she's hyper dashing. You can hyper dash through all of this right here and then dash to the spring. And then the end of the room is pretty straightforward. So this next screen is a room where you have to go up, then down, then up. And if you do it fast enough, you can beat Oshiro to the end, and you don't have to wait for him, and it makes the room a lot easier. So what I like to do is I like to dash straight up, climb up right away, and then a dash under the dust bunny and start climbing up again right away, and it looks like this. And that way I didn't have to wait for Oshiro. If you wind up having to wait for Oshiro, or if you die because you get like munched on or whatever, then you can do the same thing on the second. Oops. This is an important mistake that I made that I should point out, is if you insist on jumping off of this first platform, you give Oshiro more time to get to you. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to come here and then jump down, but then you can't beat Oshiro. So you want to just get up there and then fall. Don't worry about the tentacles on the wall. They don't activate till you're gone. And then you can get through. And then you want to just fall here and dash into this transition. Okay, there's a super slow, like vanilla way of doing this room that I'm not going to explain. If you want to like go slow and steady through this room, you're more than welcome to. The way I'm going to explain this room is with the hyper dash start. And if you hyper dash and then bunny hop immediately, like the lightest jump tap that you could imagine pressing, and you will clear this first spring. So it's a hyper dash and then a very, very light tap jump. So it looks like this. Like that's how it looks. And you have to hold forward the whole time. And what happens when you clear that first spring is, if you see, there's a little platform next to the next spring. So you can actually just dash straight to that platform and skip that whole forward on the whole bouncing on the first section here. Oops. So after you bounce on that second spring, Oshiro is going to be at the top of the screen because you weren't supposed to be there yet, so he's not going to be anywhere near you. And that allows you to just fall here and dash up to this next spring. If you bounce on that second spring on the back of it, you actually can clear this spring all the way and land on the floor next to it, which is ideal. I'm not going to make it this time because I don't have enough momentum. But if you make it onto that floor right away, on the original cycle of the room, you can actually hyper dash past this bunny without stopping completely. So you can actually just hold straight to the right the whole time and just go if you're able to land there right away. If you have to land on the spring, then I recommend dashing down to the ground and waiting for the bunny to move out of the way and then hyper dashing across. And that's that room. And I'll do it one like fast motion so you can see. Oops. That's something to be very wary of, is going over this spring. See, right there I had to wait for the dust bunny, but that's because I'm on the death cycle. If you're not on the death cycle, you don't have to wait for him. But on the death cycle, you always have to wait for him. Okay, this next screen is just 5 jewels. And the trick to going as fast as possible through this room is to take momentum into the first jewel. So if you hyper dash here and then bunny hop, you'll have momentum when you get to the first jewel, and Oshiro will never be able to catch you. And then this last screen is the hardest screen by far in the whole Oshiro section. I'm gonna do my strat, both for the normal cycle and the death cycle, and I just recommend you copy the strat. Like, there's not really an explanation to it. At the beginning here, I'm going to delay my wave dash on this first spring, off this first spring, to make sure Oshiro stays high in the air. Oops. Yeah, I can't even do it now, because this is the death cycle now, so I can't even show the actual. But my death cycle is pretty close to my actual cycle. So, yeah, so on the original cycle, what I would have did was I would have went like this, then I would have waited, and then Oshiro would have went up high, because I was coming in with momentum. That's what would have happened. That's the only difference between my 2 cycles. But on the death cycle, what I do is I do an extended hyper dash right away at the start, and then I wave dash off the second pillar where the dust bunny is. I'll see if I can get it. Hyper, jump, dash, wave dash, dash, and then here I like to wait for Oshiro, and then it's hyper, extended hyper, dash up, dash forward, and then hyper to the end. I'll do it one more time. Hyper, bunny hop, wave dash, dash, wait for Oshiro, hyper, extended hyper, dash, up. And this strat is fully, like, extremely consistent if you copy the exact movements that I'm doing. Oops. And then once you mess up, you better start improvising, because Oshiro's an asshole. One thing I recommend is if you ever mess up, is that you dash up forward around things. Because what happens is, when you dash up forward around things, like, Oshiro tracks like your up movement. So there's 2 situations. He either went up with you, like the way he did here, in which case I'm gonna fall into safety, or he's already locked on you, in which case you're gonna dash. I bonked my head. If he's already locked on you and you dash up forward, you're gonna dash over him. So you're either leading him away from you, or you are going over him. Either way, like, dashing up forward is always like the safest thing you can do. I'll just do the strat one last time. And that's chapter 3.